Hollywood, you know, the land of dreams, these huge blockbusters, and especially those massive superhero movies that just rake in billions. But underneath all the capes and the saving the world stuff, there's this whole other world, right? The numbers. Who actually gets paid what? It's usually kept pretty quiet, but sometimes, well, the curtain gets pulled back a bit, and what we find can be pretty surprising. So today, for our deep dive, we're putting the spotlight on James Gunn's new Superman film. We've got some really interesting salary details for the cast that have come out. Yeah, the source is the Indian Express, reporting on some Puck News findings. The article's headline is pretty catchy. Superman cast salary revealed. David Corenswet among lowest paid superheroes. Nicholas Hoult walks away with mega paycheck. So our mission today is to, dig into these paychecks, try to figure out the why behind them, and put it all in the bigger picture of superhero salaries, past and present. And the thing that jumps out right away, the kind of initial shocker, is that the villain seems to be making way more than the hero. It feels almost backwards, doesn't it? Like, what's going on in Hollywood economics to make that happen?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here isn't just the raw numbers themselves,
Yeah.
These figures, they tell a story, a pretty compelling one actually, about industry trends, how actors are valued now, and just how the whole landscape of casting these huge blockbusters is shifting, especially for a major reboot like this new Superman. So as we talk through this, I really encourage you, the listener, to think about the implications. What do these money decisions mean for the actors' careers, for the future of these massive franchises? It's definitely a calculated strategy, and these numbers, well, they reveal quite a lot about how studios are placing their bets. Okay, so let's get into the big reveal. The numbers reported by Puck News via the Indian Express. Nicholas Hoult, right? He's playing Lex Luthor. He's reportedly getting $2 million up front.
$2 million. Okay.
Now, compare that. David Corenswet, the new Superman, and Rachel Brosnahan, our new Lois Lane. They each apparently got $750,000.
Wow. Okay. $750K each versus $2 million. That's quite a gap right off the bat.
It is a really stark contrast when you first hear it. But, we pull back and look at the history here. This isn't totally new. Think all the way back to the 1978 Superman movie.
Oh, right, with Christopher Reeve.
Exactly. Gene Hackman played Lex Luthor then, and he pulled in $2 million. Christopher Reeve, Superman himself, he got $250,000.
Wow. So it's the exact same dynamic, just, adjusted for inflation, I guess?
Sort of, yeah. It's like a historical echo. It shows this pattern isn't just a one-off, it persists.
That's fascinating. So it's not just a random quirk today. It seems like a deliberate choice. What kind of factors, like in today's Hollywood, lead to that same situation, the villain getting paid so much more up front? Is it like buying insurance with a known name, even for the bad guy, while you take a bit more of a gamble on the lead?
That's a really good way to put it. It touches on a crucial distinction. The reporting points out that Hoult, well, he has a much longer, more established career. He's got 2 Golden Globe nominations, an Emmy nod. That seriously boosts his market value. Plus, and this is key, he has that big franchise experience from the X-Men movies.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And Brosnahan, too, she's not exactly unknown. She's got an Emmy, 2 Globes for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, solid background in different kinds of films. She's proven talent.
Plenty proving, yeah.
Corenswet, though, while he's been in things like The Politician in Hollywood and people noticed him.
Yeah, he's good.
He is, but he's still relatively new to carrying this kind of massive studio tentpole film as the main lead. So when we talk about these initial paychecks, that $2 million for Hoult, that reflects his current market rate for what might be a shorter but still really impactful role. For Corenswet, and often for new franchise leads, that $750,000 is more like a base salary. The real potential money often comes later.
Ah, okay. So you mean like back-end points, percentage of the profit?
Exactly, back-end participation. And usually there are built-in pay bumps in their multi-picture deals if the first movie and the franchise really takes off.
Right. So it's less about the immediate cash for Corenswet and maybe more about the studio setting him up for the long haul. If he becomes the face of this new DC universe, that changes how you look at that $750,000 figure. But let's put it in context even more. How does his starting salary stack up against, say, the first-timers from the early MCU or even previous DC films?
Now that's where it gets really interesting. Because if you look back, Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man back in 2008, reportedly $500,000.
Only $500K for Iron Man. Wow.
Yep. Chris Evans for Captain America in 2011. Around $300,000.
To $300, okay.
Chris Hemsworth for Thor that same year. Even less, maybe $150,000.
Goodness.
And even Henry Cavill for Man of Steel or Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman, their first times out were reportedly in that $300,000 range too.
Huh. So Corenswet's $750,000, while way less than Hoult's, is actually, well, it's significantly more than what a lot of those huge stars got for their first superhero gig.
Exactly. So, viewed through that historical lens, Corenswet's starting pay, it's actually quite respectable.
Yeah.
It's certainly not bottom of the barrel for launching a major hero. But, and it's a big but, the whole game has changed a lot in the last, say, 10, 15 years.
Right. That definitely reframes it. But then you think about the more recent first-time leads. Didn't Brie Larson get a lot more for Captain Marvel?
She did. Reportedly $5 million.
$5 million, okay. And Ezra Miller for The Flash.
That was reportedly around $3 million.
So when you put Corenswet's $750K next to those numbers, $3 million, $5 million, especially since he's meant to be the cornerstone of this whole new DC universe, it starts to look a bit modest again, doesn't it? It raises questions about maybe how Hollywood weighs risk now.
It really does. You see, the early MCU, they could kind of afford to take those initial salary gambles because the formula was new, the universe wasn't established. They paid out big after the massive success happened.
Right, they proved the concept first.
Exactly. Now, the stakes feel higher. There's more competition, maybe some audience fatigue setting in. So studios sometimes feel they need to front-load the talent costs to guarantee some impact, particularly if the character maybe isn't as universally known or beloved as, say, Spider-Man. Corenswet's salary being lower than Larson or Miller but higher than the early guard, it kind of suggests maybe a more cautious, maybe hybrid approach for DC's relaunch.
Hybrid? How so?
Well, they're betting heavily on the character's built-in power. It's Superman, after all, and probably on James Gunn's vision and track record. They're not solely relying on throwing massive money at the lead actor right out of the gate. It's about balancing that upfront risk with the hope of huge long-term potential. It actually reminds me of something I heard a studio exec say once. You pay for certainty, you gamble on potential.
Ooh, I like that. Pay for certainty, gamble on potential. That fits perfectly here, doesn't it? Hoult is the certainty, Corenswet is the potential.
Pretty much, yeah. That seems to be the play.
And it gets even more interesting when you hear what the director, James Gunn, thinks. He's been really outspoken about his belief in Corenswet. He told CNN he's proud of finding breakout stars, and he thinks Corenswet is, quote, the biggest movie star in the world, and people don't know it yet.
High praise indeed.
Yeah. He even compared finding Corenswet to how he felt about Chris Pratt early on. Said Corenswet has the acting chops, comedy timing, and ridiculously handsome thing going for him. So if Dunn believes he's found the next massive star, does that make the $750K seem like an amazing bargain for the studio, banking on that future potential?
Potentially. Or maybe it signals that even with the director's absolute confidence, the studio system itself still hedges its bets until the box office results are in. Ultimately, these initial Superman salaries, they paint this really interesting picture of how Hollywood tries to balance its investments. You minimize the upfront risk on the new lead, you leverage the established name for key roles, you hope the IP, the character, the franchise itself, plus the director's magic will carry the day initially.
And you leave the really huge paydays for the sequels if everything works out.
Exactly. So when you think about the film's reported budget, something like $225 million, and you hear Gunn's huge praise for his lead, it leads to a really thought-provoking question for you, the listener. What does this initial salary structure really tell us about perceived risk versus long-term potential when casting these iconic roles today? Are studios betting more on the character's Superman himself or the franchise brand, more than the individual actor, at least when kicking off a whole new cinematic universe? And does this leave the truly massive windfalls dependent entirely on that first film hitting it big? What's fascinating is how these starting numbers might really shape the path of a new star's career within the intense demands of a major franchise reboot.